All right, I think we are about to be live on Facebook. Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Today is May 2nd, and it is the start of the International Women in Business May Money Talks Mastermind. So what exactly does that mean? So this will be the third year that the Empowerment Empire has hosted the International Women in Business May Money Talks Mastermind. The Mastermind is our big fundraising program throughout the year, so everyone can join this program for free. If you register through the Zoom link, you'll get access to all of the programs. If you don't register, then you might be able to catch us in one of our groups that we go live in. Today being day one, I thought I would just go ahead and go live on my own page so that I can have the widest audience and let you all know that we are super excited for you to be joining us. So what is this all about? So for the entire month of May, my goal was to put out information that is all about money, finance, wealth building, wealth management, money mindset, etc., to as many women as possible, and to provide you with education and insights that you just simply might not know, or don't feel empowered to want to know. So our goal is to be able to give you all of this great information. You can catch all of this on Zoom as well for free. If you register as a women business owner, which is $100, it helps to fund our Young Woman Entrepreneur Education Fund, as well as to continue to keep our programs like this going. The May Money Talks Mastermind is our only 100% free mastermind for anyone to attend. But if you do register as a businesswoman or as a business owner, then you will receive the 20+ page workbook with all of our speakers' bios, contact information, etc. So I'm super excited to get started here for day one. And our very special guest speaker, which I am so grateful for, is a wonderful woman that I have known for a number of years now. We met in Sacramento when we both lived up north in Northern California. She migrated to Temecula. I migrated down to San Diego area. And we continue to reconnect, because that is what really awesome colleagues do, is we continue to connect to support each other and thrive. And I want to thank Stephanie Mears so very much for joining us today. I would like to be very respectful of everyone's time. So this is a 50-minute program. At the end of the program, what we will do is we will open it up for questions. So I'll monitor our chat here on Facebook as well as on the Zoom. If you have any questions or comments, please do so, put them there, and I will make sure we get those answered. So session one, day one, week one of the May Money Talks Mastermind 2022. Our featured speaker today is Stephanie Mears. She is a published author and motivational speaker, radio show and podcast host. She has worked with Desert Capital Management Group as a vice president since 2014. Stephanie has a BA in business management and an MBA in business administration from the University of Phoenix. She has been a professional in marketing for over 20 years. From 2014 to 2020, she received the company's Top Performer Award for her commitment to excellence and outstanding performance. She is the author of Women of Perfection, Perfectly Imperfect, which I absolutely love. She talks about how in today's society, women are expected to be perfect based on popular social media imagery, but that the reality is that we are killing ourselves. And in this book, she speaks to what is the cause of this need for perfection and how we can overcome these boundaries and fears to become who we truly dream to be. Stephanie's topic today is building financial capital for your business. What I love about this woman is she has these various I think modalities to her work, where she is a motivational speaker. She's super empowering to her community. She brings together women to really collaborate. She's the president of the Butterfly Element, which is an amazing nonprofit organization that helps homeless women and children. She began our Empower Hour, which we will do here in Carlsbad area and San Diego area quarterly, I imagine. So for today, we're going to get her finance side and her money brain side. So I'm really excited to welcome Stephanie Mears presenting building financial capital for your business on day one of the May Money Talks Mastermind. Welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you so much, Vihil, for having me here today. I really appreciate it. And I have to say, hearing you talk about me is it's a bit of a mouthful. So I appreciate that you went through all of that. So thank you so much. You're right. I do have many different modalities of different things that I love to and enjoy doing. But the number one thing that I really do enjoy the most is working with people and their financial health. Now, in the retirement community, in the financial planning community, there are very specific rules and regulations of what we're allowed to say and what we're not allowed to say. That's part of being a part of the FINRA and the SEC, which I'm sure everyone's heard of, at least of the SEC. FINRA is actually a larger company who regulates all of the financial firms. So certain things can be asked. I may not be able to answer every question, just a heads up based off of what's allowed within compliance. And I will do my best to answer any questions that do come up from any of our people that join us today. So I at least wanted to give you that warning, okay? So first of all, I'm excited about being here. It's been a little bit since I've actually done a speaking opportunity. I haven't had a lot of time to do them, so I'm so excited to be here today. I am excited to talk about financial health, but what I'm really wanting to start with is building wealth for your business is extremely, extremely important. But you can't build business wealth until you have figured out yourself personally. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to go over kind of the basic things that we do for ourselves personally that gets us to building financial wealth. And that also gives you us from a step 1 situation as opposed to a step 10. Okay. And basically, we're going to start with the very, very basics of what is your financial, not overall. So you could say, well, I want to lose 1 million pounds. And I want to do this and I want to do that. And those are all great goals. Okay. But I'm talking just financial health. Okay. Just financial goals. So what could your financial goals and needs be? Okay. So for example, one of your financial goals could be, I want to save $10,000 this year. Okay, great. That's a great financial goal. What is one of your financial needs? Okay, a financial need is very different. So for example, you could say, oh, well, I need to get, $10,000 worth of dental work on my teeth, and insurance isn't going to cover all that. So how am I going to be able to cover that financial need? Okay. So we basically put together a nice little financial needs and goals document. Okay, that document, you write everything down. You just don't keep everything in your head. There's actually a lot of psychology in that, a lot of research, why we write down our needs and goals, and then also why we also put in vision boards and all these other things. So we're writing down our needs and goals of what our financial health would look like. Okay. Then we set out a budget. Okay, so budgeting seems like such a basic thing, but not a lot of people have a budget. Now, what I like to do personally is I actually like to go onto Pinterest and just type up financial budgets. Super easy. You can find some really pretty ones. I like ones that are bright pink and sparkly, big shocker there. And basically those nice little budget sheets will have everything from what is my mortgage or rent, what is my outgoing. Okay. And the outgoing is everything from your cell phone bill to entertainment, which could be going to the movies, or, I like to go out places like Disneyland and stuff. So, different entertainment items, food, budgeting your food is really important, especially with inflation right now. And that's something I'm going to go over later, is what the big difference is with inflation today versus what it was 2 years ago even. So we're going to go over that in just a little bit too. Now, setting up these basic budgets are very helpful for you for your long-term goals. Okay, this is again for your individual. This is going to get to your business. Now, your next thing is figuring out your income and outgoing. So that's what we just did with your budget. Okay, income, what is your money coming in? So if you're not making enough money to hit your budget, or start making more money. And it may sound like I'm being blasé about the making more money, but there's so many different opportunities out in the world right now. If you're not making enough money in your job, then, there's jobs right now that you can make $30 an hour doing administrative work for a lot of firms, because there's so many jobs out there right now, like so many, it's crazy. So you can get a different job. You can be working on a couple side jobs. You could be starting your own business. There's so many different ways of making more money. So reduce your outgoing, build your incoming, and that way you can start having some form of a savings. Okay. So the next thing we're going to talk about is making sure that in your budget, you have a savings. Okay. So your savings is going to be very helpful later with the business. Okay. Now we're going to talk about a little bit more on the credit and the debit. Okay. So as a person, we each have credit. Okay. Each person's credit is based off of what they have borrowed. And that could be for a credit card, a car. It could be also, there could be some negative things from maybe a health bill or something that wasn't paid. There's a lot of different things that could be on your credit. Okay. Checking your credit is extremely important for yourself personally, but also for your business. Okay. So basically, your credit score, it will vary. Obviously, there's a few different credit places like Experian and stuff like that. How I like to do mine is through Credit Karma. It's free, and you can also go ahead, check everything out. It gives you suggestions of how to build your credit, gives you ideas of how to make that move to another level. I'm not paid to talk about them, just so you know. I just what works really well for me, and the fact that it gives you kind of a nice little route or a map on how to build your own credit. So that's really important. Okay. And then also your debt. So on debts, if you're trying to start a business, debt will very much count against you, just so you know, okay, personally. And your credit score will very much count against you personally if it's not high. Okay. So with that, basically starting with this basic stuff of ourselves personally, I'm sure you're seeing now how it's starting to gauge a little bit more into the business. Okay. Now, with the debt, we want to make sure the debt is lower, the credit is higher, right? So if you have at least a 700, you're going to be in a better place than if you were in like the 500s, because that's like pretty much you'll not be able to get anything. If you're at 700 or higher, you're going to be in a much better position to be able to do well with your business. If you have low debt, you're going to have usually a higher credit score depending on how your payment history is. So that's something you really want to be thinking about as well. Now, in yourself personally, you also want to be thinking about your retirement. So in your retirement, you're going to want to think about, okay, so I am now almost 40 years old. I want to retire by the time I'm 65, which is most people's time frame. Okay, how can I do that? And honestly, not everybody has a plan in place yet of how to make that happen. So we need to figure out, okay, so you would start with any kind of free portfolio analysis that you can get, which basically gives you an idea of what you currently have and how to move that forward. And then reach out to a financial person who can help you guide to the right direction of a financial plan. Once you have a financial plan in place, then you're set up for your financial future for yourself personally. Again, that's again going to jump into the business side in just a second. Now, once we have our retirement plan in place and also a nice, beautiful plan of, okay, so if I put this much money into my IRA for this many years, this is going to help me get this in return and all of those fun things. Okay. And it goes more depth than this. Okay. I'm just giving you a very basic overview of your personal. The next thing after we've set up a financial plan for our retirement is making sure that you have life insurance. That's really important. Again, I don't sell life insurance. We don't sell life insurance. I'm just giving you that as a good basic thing, especially with your business. Next is having a will and a trust set up, especially with a business. Super important, okay? So having a will and trust, especially in California, is going to help you navigate to where you don't have to go through probate fully, and you also don't have to go through a lot of other state requirements, okay? Also, you're more likely to get more money back from more money given to the person you want it to go to instead of the state, which is what probate is essentially. Okay. So that's really, really important just for that basic stuff for yourself personally. Once you have all of this stuff beautifully set up, then it's really easy to get into the business side of how to make that business successful financially. And not just in this beautiful overall world, but just financially, okay?
Stephanie, last month we had on the International Women in Business Mastermind, we had the Will Fairy. And Joe Welch talked all about how the detailed importance of establishing your will and and trust, because and then how to set those things up. She offered everyone who it was interested to be able to book like a consultation with her. I have my appointment with her next week. And she talked about how it's not something that is necessarily focused around death. I know a lot of people will stray away from the will because they don't want to talk about death. Mm-hmm. But what she really expressed the importance of was, it's not necessarily about that. It's more about how do you want to take this amazing thing that you've been building, especially as business owners, especially as entrepreneurs. You've worked so hard to build this thing that it will live, far beyond you as well, your impact, etc., your Facebook groups, your business, your domain names, your websites, all of those sorts of things that we might not think about, that would go into like our will and an estate and our final trust. But imagine, if we don't have those things truly put together, that what stress and anxiety that could cause for our children or for our partners or whoever is left to sort of to figure out all the pieces of the puzzles of our lives, which could be very complex and detailed. So I just wanted to definitely do an additional plug for that is while we're looking at personal financial information, business financial information, also be aware of how you can protect all of that definitely through life insurance and through the creation and the development of a simple will on how much that will really ease the burden from your family and from, to be able to ensure that legacy that you're trying to build for your business continues on in the way in which that you want it to. I think it's just so very important for us to remember as entrepreneurs and business owners.
Absolutely. I agree 1000%. And, there is a big difference between what a will and a trust are, and also a big difference between a trust, a will, and also a power of attorney. So I'm just going to go over what those three different things are just to give a basic knowledge. Okay. So a will is basically laying out information of, okay, well, my kids are going to go here if this were to happen, or this is going to happen here, and I want a certain percentage of my money to go here. And the trust, that typically takes lawyers, and the lawyer puts everything you have into a trust. It's into a document. Okay, that trust oversees pretty much your everything, and that trust also usually has a power of attorney. Now, in a power of attorney situation is a medical situation, typically speaking, to where you can say, this person can take care of me if I'm unable to take care of myself. And I mean this in unfortunately a negative, very negative way. If I were unconscious and had to make a life or death decision, who would be that person to make that decision? Because that person you've had that discussion with as to what you want to happen. Those all go under that world of the trust. It's almost like this big, beautiful package. Okay. And that will is beautiful, but that does not go past your, a will does not, it will still take you into probate. That's how I want to say it. It will still take you into probate if it's not in a trust. So having everything in a trust is extremely important, specifically in California, and a lot of other states too, but California, I mean, the state takes a lot of money for probate. So this is very important for you to be able to keep your money in your family if that's what you choose to do so. Okay, so it's extremely important. Now, having all of this basic stuff set up for yourself personally, now you can, I'm hoping you're seeing a little bit more as to why it's important for your business. Because what's funny is in your business, you're going to be doing almost the exact same thing, but in your business world. Okay, and let's go ahead and go over that for a moment. Okay, so in your business, what's the very first thing we're going to do? We're going to go over your needs and goals for your business. Because if you don't know what you want to do with your business financially, why do you have a business? right? So we'll go over, okay, so my goal for this month is to make $150,000. And here's why. And this is how I want to do it, right? My needs are to cover my basic stuff. For example, covering the office overhead, covering whatever I need to take out of the business for my paycheck, those type of things, okay? And I'm assuming at this point, if you already have a business, you're already set up under your LLC or an S Corp or C Corp. You set it all up through the state, county, and also through the federal. So you have an EIN number. If you don't have all of that stuff set up, as well as a fictitious business name and that's kind of like the basic stuff for your business. If you don't have all of that already set up, that's also a big part of financial too. Because if you don't have all that stuff set up financially, you're going to be hurting because you're going to have to go back and pay a lot of taxes you didn't pay on the first things. Okay. So if you need help with that, just let me know because I can help you set up all that business stuff. So once you get past that basic stuff, you look at your needs and goals like we just talked about. Now, those needs and goals really will base off of your business and your business alone. Okay, we're not talking about your financial stuff for yourself personally. We're talking about just your business. Okay, so once you have your needs and goals, you then figure out the budget for the company. Okay, so budget, how much is my income? What is my outgoing? And what does that look like for your P&L? Okay, and then we look into your credit, your business credit. So some companies have credit already. Some have to establish credit as a business. If you're not an established business and haven't been around for a while, you may not have business credit. Okay. But it's still something good to know if you don't already have business credit, how to establish this, because eventually you make it so big that you're like, but I want to grow in certain ways. And in order to do that, I have to take out a loan, which is debt, in order to do that. And if you don't want it to go onto you personally, and you just want it to go onto you professionally, it has to be a business loan, business debt. Does that make sense? Cool. So this, again, is pretty much the same thing we do personally, but in our world of financial health and our business. Now, our next thing is, so in the financial world, when you get to this level of success of having this basic financial stuff ready to go for your business, then you can start looking at retirement for your company, setting up retirement plans, 401k plans, those type of things for your employees. And that is very easy to do if you just contact a financial planner who can do that. Okay. Next, you can look into the life insurance policies for the company as well, and then eventually make recommendations for wills and trusts for your employees. Okay, so this again takes you kind of to that next level for that. So that's just very basic personal and business financial health. Now let's talk about how to make some money. Okay. So I hope that that's a good basic information. I feel like there's a lot more in my head that I could be explaining, but I'm trying to keep it very basic. That next level, though, is really important, really, really important. And that is how to make money or make even more money in what I'm doing. Okay. And there's a lot of things that come with that. Basic things start with marketing. If you're marketing really well, then you're more likely to get more money because you're going to have more clients and so on and so forth. Every business has different ways of making money. Every way can do things in a completely different business. One business can be completely different than the other in the way it's made. So for example, if you're going to start with your marketing techniques, that could be your social media, that could be TikTok. TikTok has actually become a very big platform, even for those. So yeah, you watch TikTok too?
Yeah, I don't have a TikTok account, and several of my colleagues in my couple of my business women owner groups have been talking about how they have been using TikTok very successfully for their businesses exclusively. So I'm debating.
Yeah, it's typically known for being a younger platform. However, it's really progressed where there's now more users on TikTok than there are in any other social media platform in the world.
That's what I heard. Wow.
So with that, if you're not on TikTok, you're actually excluding potential business, if that makes any sense. So, and you can have fun with it, but still be professional. And there's a lot of really great videos out there that can show you how to do that. There's also Instagram Reels that are very, very, very popular. And if you go on to doing these Instagram Reels properly, that can really take you to another level within your social media marketing. Okay, so there's this beautiful world of social media marketing. If you want an in-depth analysis of how to do that for your business, you would want to contact a social media marketer specifically that can really take your business to another level. There's also other basic marketing too that is a little bit more old school. So like more of my kind of company, investment firms will still put ads in papers. Believe it or not, we still put ads in papers. We still put ads in magazines. We still go with, we still have, of course, an online presence, like a website. Something as basic as that, as everyone thinks, oh, that's so basic. But 20 years ago, not every single company had a website. 30 years ago, it was really more like 30 years ago, actually. I keep thinking 20 years ago was 80s, no, it's not. So basically that basic stuff of being on social media, being on a website, doing your ads, I see billboards all over the place. Billboards are still great ways of doing that. There's also, of course, there's always references, doing referrals. Referrals are some of the biggest ways to get business. If you're doing a good job at what you're doing, asking the person that you're doing that for, asking for referrals is extremely important to your business. That's another way to build wealth, is to get more clients. If you have more clients and have more money coming in, you're going to be able to build more wealth on the savings side. So that's just a few ideas of how to build wealth in general. We have a phenomenal marketer here. So she can tell you all about how to market things. She's got amazing skills in the world of building businesses. Vihil's just phenomenal. So if you have more questions about that stuff, please, please do. Thank you. She's amazing. So, and she's fun to work with too. So there's really this next level of business, right? So how do we make money in businesses? We literally have to find clients. That is one of the biggest things. Also, going to referral networks is another huge one. If you could be a part of a tip or BNI or any of these things, that's huge. If you could be part of the chamber, being a part of the community is really important. If you show that you care about the community and care about other people, you're more likely to get clientele because you're actually showing that the other person's being cared for. If you're involved in Rotary, if you're involved in groups like women's empowerment groups, or really all of these different ways of showing that you're involved in the community actually means a lot to bringing in more clients. Because if you're showing that you're working in a nonprofit, great example, if you're working in a nonprofit and trying to raise money to help homeless children and really actually showing that you're doing it, people are wanting to be involved with the people that actually are making a difference, and movers and shakers get stuff done. So if you're showing that you're doing these things and you are doing these things, clientele tends to kind of come with that. So that's another idea or thought and how to build wealth. Now there's a lot more to this. This is just, again, more marketing ideas. In regards to the business financial part of it, there is, if you don't already have an accountant, I highly recommend getting an accountant or working with QuickBooks programs. Very, very simple program to work with if you're a small business. Having an accountant is actually extremely important in my opinion, because especially in the world that I am, because we're accrual-based, not typical. So with that, every entry is done very differently. So again, having that right accounting base is extremely important. If you have a good accountant, then you're more likely to be more successful with your taxes, which means less likely to be audited. And if you get audited, that just honestly, whether you're doing a good job or not, it doesn't matter. It takes a lot of time to be audited though. And that time will take away from your business, which will take away from your clientele, which will take away from potentially building new clientele, which takes away money. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If you don't have all of your ducks in a row, then when one starts going awry, you're no longer able to continue as business as usual, because you have to really focus on this thing that, you could have prepared for, or you could have, put into place measures to ensure that you're managing this element of your business. I have been working with the National Latina Business Women's Association in Inland Empire, did a whole series that ended about a month ago. And one of the amazing women that was one of the presenters has her own accounting business, and she, spoke to us about it. Even if you are so fearful of understanding, if it's so foreign to you, the language of finance and of accounting, the really basic thing is to start with understanding your own finances simply by writing down what comes in and what goes out. Start with your personal finances and treat your personal finances almost like they are its own separate business, because it is essentially.
Yeah.
And then that will really help you to build up your confidence, because you know your own stuff so well that when you start working on, separately your business finances and your business accounting structure and getting that all set up, you have that little bit of experience. And the more that you speak with someone, Lavon Shields was her name, and the more you speak with someone like Lavon, or like someone who is a business professional who focuses on accounting, the more you're comfortable with it. Her and I talked a lot about how if you don't know about something, you don't just ignore it. You have to educate yourself and learn about it. It's not so scary once you pull back the curtain. Just give yourself that time and grace to be able to fully understand this very, very important component, to increasing your credit score, to increasing your credit worthiness, your your loan ability for yourself and for your business by really paying attention to those day-to-day numbers that are going in and going out. And I think a lot of us historically maybe have not have done that because we don't really understand the greater impact that it truly does have. And there's never a better time to start than now if you haven't already done so. Don't beat yourself up over not doing it in previous years. Start it now. We just are finishing up the tax year, and so call this your clean slate. And moving forward, make a plan of action to make sure you get these sorts of things in place. And if you don't know how to do them, then you reach out. If you're not sure how to connect with someone, then, I like to see myself and the Empowerment Empire as a connector. As if you don't need the business coaching that I offer, I have a host of amazing women that I would love to connect you with who can certainly help you with that. So I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you.
Absolutely. It's extremely important, especially for your taxes. I mean, if a lot of people will file their own business taxes, and unless it's extremely basic, it's really easy to mess up. So I always pay somebody, and it's usually a minimum of $400 to do my taxes for every business, because those can get messed up so easily. And then again, that makes it to where you can easily get audited and then owe a bunch of money. And really, honestly, the money portion, owing a lot of money for me is not that big of a deal. It's the audited portion of it, because when you have money, whatever, here, take my money. But when it takes time is the issue for a lot of business owners, because if you're taking a month, 2 months of your time and putting it toward these audits that are so ridiculously long and kind of difficult to deal with, it literally takes away from your business, which takes away from your personal life, it really takes in the next level stuff. So just stop all of that by hiring a good person who knows what they're doing. That's very much my opinion. And in regards to, if you do get audited, I highly actually audited, not just sent out a letter. Okay, so some people understand that if they get a letter, they think that they're automatically audited. That is not the truth. Okay, if they get a letter from the IRS that just says, "Hey, I just need to know further information, send this in," and you send it in, you're more likely going to get that done and over with, and then you don't have to deal with it anymore. Okay, if you are audited, it literally says you will be audited on this date and time and all this information. Okay, I highly recommend you get a tax attorney in the process. Okay, they'll cost you probably at least $1,000 for the for the deposit. I can't remember the actual word right now, but a deposit. But having, again, that basic stuff, having an accountant who's got your back and has done the right job that you know of, and then you have a tax attorney, and then your information, you're more likely to be in a better position for your business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just taking the time to you don't have to become a tax expert or an accounting expert yourself, because as a business owner, you got into business so that you can do this particular thing that you love so much and that you're passionate about doing. So one of the things that we used to say in corporate life all the time was hire your weaknesses. If you don't like doing something, then don't do it, because you're not going to do it well. Hire someone who loves doing what they do. Why I want someone to hire me for being a business coach. I don't want someone to try to hire me to be their accountant, because though I can do my own accounting and I can do budgeting and etc., that's not what I love doing. And that's why I have someone else to do that for me as well. But even though we're not doing exclusively all of our own financial work, spend time with the person that you have asked to do it for you. They can give you a really good overview so that you have a general understanding of A to Z how things work. So that, if you do have to answer certain questions, you are knowledgeable about your business. You have a running tally of roughly what you have, in the bank or in your assets, et cetera, on a daily basis. You have that running, so general idea. You don't have to be a super expert in it, but have a general idea on a daily basis. It's like checking your bank balance every day. Know what you've got going on every day, because things will fluctuate day to day, hour by hour.
It's so true. It's so true. So having this like, I know we went over a lot of information in this like 45 minutes, a lot of information. However, all of that was so true. So if you could take notes down and say, hey, again, goals and needs and goals, budget, income, outgoing, credit and debits, retirement, life insurance, trust and will, and then same thing for your business, and then marketing, accounting, tax, attorney. Again, just having these little bullets of things that you can help work yourself on. Again, don't expect to get all the stuff done in one day, or even maybe not even one whole week, honestly.
Right.
Just having this thing and even getting one thing checked off every week or two, that's still stepping you in a right direction every single week.
Yeah.
So that's very basic.
It's like so you're going to add these things to your vision board to become, financially knowledgeable over your own business and your own, personal finances. You don't have to become a super tax expert, but you need to be knowledgeable about what it is that you have coming and going. Stephanie, I think you've been a great opening presenter for the May Money Talks Mastermind, because we did cover an overall view, like an umbrella view of the way that you're going to want to look at your business from a financial perspective. Also touching point on the fact that you need to pay attention to your personal finance and wealth, as well as your business, because your personal can be reflective and is reflective as you're growing your business as well, especially for many of our viewers who are either just starting out, who are in that first like 1 to 5 years of getting your business going. You're still kind of figuring things out, figuring how to grow. These are things that we like to remind you about, which is why every year we host the May Money Talks Mastermind. One, as a fundraiser for our education foundation, which provides scholarships to women who are interested in building their businesses and they need some cash for specific things, like you need your business license, you need your business website, cards, etc. Those things that require hard cash to get done. And it's a way for us to really give to our community, to say, we are a group of businesswomen, me as your host, bring in all of these women that I've had the great fortune to come across in my career, as a business professional and then as a business owner, to say, look, here is an amazing person who has this knowledge that she's willing to share with you as a fellow woman entrepreneur and as a fellow business owner. So if you're watching the program, definitely register as a businesswoman. You'll receive the workbook where you can take all of these notes. so that each day you have your speaker, the day and time that they're speaking, which is every day, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific time. The recordings are available at a later date, as well as throughout some of our groups. If you are in our Jefas Unidas Latina Entrepreneur Facebook group, you will see some of the programs. If you are in my Empowered Woman by the Empowerment Empire Facebook group, you will see some of the programs there. But if you want to make sure to catch everyone and you want to support our awesome organization, then please register as a businesswoman, which is a $100 registration. Otherwise, you could register for free to join us on Zoom and have your questions answered every day during the month of May, Monday through Friday, as we share these insights to you on how to pay better attention to your financial wealth building abilities, what you should do to get yourself nice and solid and stable, so that you know exactly what you should be doing, so you don't have to have that that dark cloud over you saying, oh, I didn't know. Well, let's inform ourselves, because we are going to be responsible women who want to create these awesome organizations to leave these legacies for our families. Let's do it in a really smart way.
That's beautifully said. Thank you, Vihil. That was exactly how I love everything you just said. And I'm so excited that you guys have decided to join us for this live today on Facebook. And Vihil has so many amazing things coming up. So I hope you all can join.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. I really appreciate you joining us today. For all of you, I have dropped the link throughout Facebook on how you could register for the International Women in Business May Money Talks Mastermind. Please register, and we will see you tomorrow with another amazing speaker that I will be posting in the comments after our video concludes. If you have any questions about the program, we do have some available speaker spots during the last 2 weeks of May. So if you're interested in being a speaker and being featured on our program, I would love to have you. So please reach out to me to do so for that as well. Stephanie, thank you so much for helping me to bring about our Magnificent Monday, our day one of the May Money Talks Mastermind. I really appreciate your time and all of your collaboration. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And for all of you out there, really have a wonderful day. Really embrace it. It is an awesome Monday. Own it, be it. You are the change that you wish to see in the world. And we will see you again very soon, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Pacific time, as we continue with day 2 of the May Money Talks Mastermind. Thank you again so much, Stephanie.